Whatever you say, whatever you think, whatever you do, chances are somebody did it first. Famous firsts. Bombs Away, the story of Jimmy Doolittle and the first bombing of Tokyo. By 1940, when he was 44 years old, Jimmy Doolittle had received practically every honor that civilian aviation could bestow. As one of the earliest stunt flyers and test pilots, he was the first to fly blind, first to perform the outside loop. As a civil aeronautics engineer, he was the first to plug for the use of 100-octane gasoline in Army aircraft, and the first to fly across the North American continent. Jimmy Doolittle thought his flying days were over when he reported to General Arnold, Chief of the U.S. Army Air Force. Little did he know that his most spectacular first still lay ahead of him. Early in February of 1942, General Arnold called Jimmy into his office to discuss what seemed like a fantastic idea.
Disasters have been piling up lately. Allied morale needs a shot in the arm, particularly American morale.
Yes, Hap?
Just had a query from the Navy. Wants to know if the Army has a plane that can carry a bomb load of 2,000 pounds, can fly 2,000 miles, and take off in 500 feet.
Huh?
Yep, 500 feet. What do you think?
Well, B-25 might do it. That is, if she was stripped of excess weight and fitted with extra gas tanks. Say, what's the idea?
You think that you could experiment with a B-25, then take over and train a squadron for such a mission?
Well,
now, mind you, you're not to lead the flight yourself. Just train the squadron.
listen, General. I can't train a squadron for a mission when I don't know what it is.
Bomb Japan.
What's the idea, Don, getting every pilot on the base together? What's Doolittle up to now?
Search me, Skipper.
All right, men. Let me have your attention. I want volunteers for an interesting but dangerous mission. About all I can tell you is that it will involve flying 2,000 miles and taking off in 500 feet. Any pilots interested, hold up your right hand. Yeah, every pilot on the base. I figured as much. Don Cole.
Yeah, Jimmy?
You'll take over as second in charge.
Sure, Jimmy.
We'll interview the boys afterwards and pick our crew. Incidentally, Don, I won't be making the flight with you. So you'll take over when the time comes.
Okay.
Now, if any of you guess what we're going to do, or if you figure out from your training what the targets are going to be, I want you to keep your mouth shut. Don't gossip with your wives or even with each other. A lot of lives depend on complete secrecy, not just your own. Now, the first thing we'll do is start practicing 500 feet takeoff.
These chair-born officers. What makes you so sure you can take a B-25 up in 500 feet, sir?
I've done it.
Jimmy Doolittle was a perfectionist. He was on hand to talk to the pilot every time a B-25 came in.
Well, how did she stack up, Slim?
Pretty good, sir. Yes, sir, pretty good.
Doolittle would climb into the cockpit, take the ship up, and return an hour later with a pencil list of a dozen minor flaws for the maintenance crews to work on.
Pretty good isn't good enough for this job, Slim.
Yes, sir. I reckon I thought...
Sure. But don't next time.
Jimmy,
Yes, Slim.
I sure wish you were leading this flight.
So do I.
You don't think Hap Arnold might let you go after all?
Oh, heck no. And even if he would, his chief of staff, old Miff Harmon, he'd stop me somehow.
You don't think you could talk him into it? We need it.
I'd never talk him into it. Of course, I might trip.
You got an idea?
Yeah. Yeah, it might work. I'm going to see Hap Arnold. Hap, I've gotten to know these crews. They have confidence in me. You've got to let me lead this flight.
No, I need you here. Any competent pilot can do this job, but there aren't 5 men in my command who could train pilots for a job like this.
That's not true, sir. They need me to...
And even if I gave you permission, Miff Harmon would never agree.
But, General, Miff Harmon said it was okay with him if it was okay with you.
What?
Yes, Hap.
Miff, did you tell Doolittle he could lead that flight if it was okay with me?
Yes.
Huh?
He said you told him it was okay with you if it was okay with me.
What?
There you are. It's okay with both of you. Thanks a lot, General.
Say, what's that? What's going on, Hap?
Miff, we've been hornswoggled.
The carrier Hornet, with a strange cargo of 16 medium bombers lashed to a flight deck, left San Francisco on April the 1st, 1942. At sea, the task force assembled. Another carrier, the Enterprise, 2 heavy destroyers, and 2 tankers. Doolittle gathered his men together to brief them on their mission.
We are going to bomb Japan.
Japan?
Tokyo, Yokohama, Osaka, Kobe, Nagoya.
Hirohito, that's my target.
For me.
Yeah.
Now get this straight. Stay clear of the Emperor's palace in Tokyo. No matter what you or I may think, the royal family is not a military target. The Navy will take us as close to Japan as possible. Since a B-25 cannot land on a carrier, after the mission, we'll proceed to small Chinese airports. There, we'll refuel and fly to Chongqing. Now, all Chinese airports in the area have been warned to be on the lookout for friendly American planes. Now, there's another thing. Under no circumstances are you to head for the nearby port of Vladivostok. The Russians have refused permission for us to land.
What's the matter with Uncle Joe?
Sure.
Russia is not at war with Japan, and they don't want to be. Now, this is no suicide mission. My calculations give everybody a 50-50 chance of coming back alive. The takeoff is scheduled for April 18th, but if the enemy should spot us sooner, we take off at once. Otherwise, our B-25s are sitting pigeons on the deck. An earlier takeoff will raise the odds against us considerably.
The odds against our getting through to Japan?
No. The odds against us coming back alive.
Doolittle to squadron. Doolittle to squadron. This is it. The Jap patrol ship has been spotted. In 10 minutes, the Jap airfields will be alerted. We've got no choice. We've got to take off 10 hours early so that the task force can get out of here. Now take off just as I do. The wind is at gale proportions, and that sea is rough. But it still can be done. Here's how. When the bow reaches the lowest point and starts to come up, give your plane the gun. You'll have the advantage of traveling for 2 seconds downhill. By the time you reach the end of the flight deck, the nose of the ship should be level and... Well, oh, heck, watch me, it's easy.
Easy, the man says.
Hey, you got a break, Slim. As Doolittle's co-pilot, you'll just be going along for the ride.
Yeah. Got any good books I can read up there?
All right, boys, let's go.
They all made it, Jimmy. All airborne.
Tokyo, here we come.
Should sight the Jap mainland any minute now. Want me to take over, Jimmy?
No, thanks, Slim.
Worried?
Yeah, a bit. Rotten luck having to take off 10 hours early. If we hadn't been spotted and could have stayed on course until the scheduled takeoff, we couldn't have failed.
You think we can fail now?
The mission can't. I can.
What do you mean?
Bombing Japan is worth little as a military operation. It's worth a whole lot as a boost to Allied morale. But if it costs more than half these men and half these planes, it isn't worth it. I fail.
But Jimmy...
Hold it. Jap mainland dead ahead. Jap mainland dead ahead.
Jap fighters off tail. Jap fighters off tail.
Hang on, boys.
Doolittle evaded the fighters by making a sharp left turn and streaking along a valley between two hills where the olive-drab camouflage of the plain melted into the green of the countryside. Then they saw it spread out before them. The most beautiful target in the world, Tokyo.
Bombs away! Yahoo!
Jimmy to crew. Jimmy to crew. Sorry, boys, but we're running out of gas. We're somewhere over China, but we can't get a radio fix for love of money. Every station in China seems to be in a radio blackout. There's nothing to do but prepare to bail out. Wait for the command. Good luck. Okay, Slim. Go back and count them out, then jump yourself.
No. Let me take the controls. You go.
I'll go last. The failure is mine.
Fail? You didn't fail. We bombed the blazes
It
out
cost
of...
too much, Slim. It cost too much.
But Jimmy's despair was premature. When he dragged himself out of the rice paddy where he landed and finally found his way to the nearest Chinese military headquarters, he discovered that most of his 80 men had miraculously escaped. The first bombing of Japan had wrought relatively little destruction with its bombs, but its psychological effect was devastating. In Australia and New Zealand, it destroyed the dangerously graying myth of Japanese invincibility. It gave the Americans spectacular encouragement, and it gave the Japanese a grim warning of things to come. Famous Firsts, a documentary series directed by Hilda Scurr and His Master's Voice, Ron Roberts Productions.